Hi, I'm Ungazi and you're welcome to the Zibby Show. It's an absolute honor to have you on the show, and I'm so grateful that you tune in week after week to listen to me. I'm just grateful because when I started the show, I had no idea that in just such a short while, the fellowship would grow so much. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's tuned in, who's downloaded and listened, who's spread a link, who's talked about me, who sent me an email, who sent me a message on Twitter or Facebook. I just want to say a huge thank you. I'm really glad that our message is going out there to motivate and inspire young people so we can be the change that we wish to see. I mean, I'm so thrilled. Like, the reception has been really, really good. And I'm glad that bit by bit, we're making a difference in our world. It's our world, it's our right, and we've got that right to make it a better place for ourselves, our families, and for our children potentially in the future. So thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in. Last week's numbers were astronomical. Like, they rose so much in just a short time, and I was amazed. I couldn't believe it, but I just want to say a huge thank you. And something that actually made me be like, yay, people are actually listening, because I've had like 3 different people who've contacted me and said they're reading Chimamanda Adichie's book, Americana, which we did a review on. So that is really good. It shows that people are listening and people are learning, and it's just phenomenal. Thank you. This week, we've got a very special guest in the studio with us. He's an American Grammy Award, Emmy Award, Peabody Award, and a lot more award winners. He's an amazing fellow. His work has inspired people all over the world. I am one of those people who have been inspired by him. I first heard about him in 2005. And it was amazing because me and my friends, we couldn't get enough of listening to him. And then fast forward years later, I still cannot believe I have a chance to speak with him. It's amazing. He's the hip-hop poet, the modern-day poet. He's an actor. He's a motivational speaker. He's just an inspiration. He's a Grammy Award-winning, Emmy Award-winning poet called Mr. J. Ivy. A lot of us would remember him from Kanye West's song Never Let Me Down, which featured J. Ivy and Jay Z on Kanye's debut album, The College Dropout. And we're just so thrilled to have him. This show is going to be different. I'm not going to be doing the outros, just before we play the music, because we've got so much to cover and we want to try to make sure we can get it all together. So after each segment, we'll just have a chance to listen to some of his beautiful work. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. J. Ivy. Please.
Hello? Is anybody out there? I got a story to tell. Somebody's got to hear my story. I need to write. I try to get you off my mind, but I can't get you off of my face. If I could sing, I would echo words about her beauty within a verse. I'm a roach in a world of rage. In shackles and chains. The wax. The melting wax begins its journey down the length of the wig. Transformation. Transformation. Begin. I just had phone sex with no protection, and now I got an ear infection. I'm not hearing you. My poems may drag and rough draft, so I backspace then backdraft. To cool off, I take bubble baths and volcanoes. Nobody sitting down, that's why they call it the stands. Who needs the weed, man, when I got you? If I were on the highest cliff, on the highest rift, and you slipped off the side and clutched onto your life in my grip, I would never, ever let you down.
This is Abiodun Oyewole, better known to many as Dune of the Last Poets, and I'm very happy to be here in the studio working with J. Ivy on his new CD. It's always a pleasure to work with someone who you can appreciate, someone who you respect, someone who you feel has talent that can take us to the next level. He is a healing poet, a brother who's concerned about the future of us, and I was very happy and pleased to be a part of this wonderful project.
Hi, J. Ivy. It's a wonderful honor to actually have you on the show.
It is my pleasure to be here. Shout out to the motherland.
Yay. That's great. That's great. You have a lot of fans all over Africa because, when I sent out word, I'm like, I'm going to have a Grammy-winning poet on the show. And a lot of people are like, who is he? And when I said J. Ivy, and everyone's like, Never Let Me Down. It seemed like everyone remembered you from that track.
Wow. Yeah, that warms my heart to hear that. it was such a special moment, you know, and it was, the timing of it and the blessing of the art that came to me at the time was, I mean, it was special, you know, it was magical, and I thank God for it, you know.
Yeah. Okay. You're known as the hip hop poet. How did your love for writing poetry begin?
When I was in high school, you know, I was very good at writing notes to girls, but I didn't think it was a gift, you know. I just thought it was something, you know, if I need to express myself, I knew that I could, you know, when I sat down to write. But my junior year in high school, my English teacher, she had us write a poem for a homework assignment.
Okay.
And the next day, she surprised everyone and made, you know, the class read their piece out loud. So, you know, like everyone else, I didn't want to do it, but, you know, I had to. So I read my piece, didn't think anything of it. And after the class, she pulled me to the side and she said, you know, you have a very nice speaking voice. I want to put you in a show. And I'm thinking, all right, look, you know, because I was very, very shy to myself type of individual. You know,
okay.
I'm an introvert, you know, and so I was like, you know, I told her yeah, but then I didn't do it, you know. So she had another show come up, and it was actually Black History Month. So she had another show come up for Black History Month, and she said, you know what? She's like, I asked you to do this show last time. This time I'm not asking you. You have to do the show. So her name is Miss Argue, so you're not going to argue with somebody's name is Argue.
Definitely not.
You're not going to win that one. You know? So I was like, all right, you know, when she challenged me, I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm not a punk. Let's, you know, what I got to do, you know. So she gives me a monologue to learn. And so I learned the monologue, and you know, a few weeks later the show came up, and I was extremely nervous and scared and terrified of, you know, getting up in front of a group of individuals that I didn't know, because we actually, for the first show, we went to another school to perform before the show at our school. So I get up, and now I was so scared, but I got through the piece, and when I finished, I walked off with my head down, I sat down, and the kid sitting next to me was like, man, you see that? You see that? I said, what? He's like, you got to stand and know. I said, what? I was like, no. He's like, man, you didn't see those people stand up for you? I said, no. So that the first group, it was like 70, 80 kids, you know, that we performed for. So the first group, they left out. And then a second group comes in, another 70, 80 kids, same age as us.
Okay.
And so this time I'm confident, you know, I'm feeling good. My shoulders are back. My chin is up, you know, and I projected my voice a little bit more. And, you know, I got through the piece, you know, just with all the confidence that I could muster up. And when I finished, I just stood there and I watched the entire room stand up and clapping. And it was in that moment where I just fell deeply in love with just being able to express myself, you know, just being able to, you know, get on the stage and just let it all go. After that, I was writing a little bit, but my confidence still hadn't grown in my writing. You know, I hit a couple of writer's block, and I didn't know that was, you know, sometimes part of the process. So when I went to college, I was trying to talk to this girl, and one of my boys was trying to talk to her girl. There's always a girl involved, you know. And he was like, man, let's do something different for him. You know, we had this little holiday in the Midwest called Sweetest Day. It's kind of like Valentine's Day in October.
Oh, wow,
so he was like, man, Sweetest Day coming up. Let's do something different for him. Let's write him a poem. I was like, yeah, I can do that. You know, so I wrote a poem called Struck by Love, and I gave it to her. She loved it. All her girls loved it. So I took it to my English professor. My English professor, she loved it. Okay. She was like, man, you should write a poem and come perform at this show. And I was like, oh, wow, I can perform what I write? You know, because at this point I was used to getting a script or a monologue. Or, you know, I was used to getting something from someone else. So at that point, that was the first time that I performed, you know, my poetry. So this is my freshman year of college. And it was just, you know, it was just the next level of that love, you know, that had already existed for expression, you know. So that was really, you know, how it began for me. You know, it was just this natural introduction, I guess, to the art.
Okay, that's really interesting. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, from, what, I've never been there, but from what you hear, it's not exactly the easiest place to live. What made you choose to be different? I'm not going to get involved with all the craziness going around me. What was that motivating factor?
My mama.
Okay.
Plain and simple. My mama. Shout out to Lady P. My mama got a rapper name, Lady P.
She's cool.
her and Jay Z got the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
But no, my mom's, she's one of 7 children, and, she was raised on the south side, with her 2 sisters and 4 brothers, and came from a very, very loving family, very hard-working family.
Okay.
Folks did, she did see her brothers, some of her brothers, go the wrong route, as far as, just falling victim to the streets and drugs and, going to jail and then even with my father and her first husband, my stepdad. So, but, she saw, what was happening with the men in her life that she really loved. She saw, alcohol become a factor, drugs become a factor. And, she didn't want to see that happen with her boys. So I remember when I was real young, she took us downtown. Well, on the west side, there's a street called Roosevelt. And, Roosevelt is super, super hood. It's the abandoned buildings and, broken glass and, a lot of homeless folk. And I remember maybe being like 7 or 8 years old, and she drove us down there on Roosevelt, and she said, look around, so we're looking around, just, absorbing the environment. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of, vacant lots, and, it was just a very desolate area, and she pointed out the homeless people and, pointed out, there were prostitutes out there, so she just pointed out the environment. She's like, look, if you don't go to school and get educated, this is where you go end up. So she would do different things that would kind of jolt, jolt something in us,
Yes.
And then, I remember, when her brother went to jail, she was like, look, if you ever go to jail, don't expect me to come see you. She would say things like that, like, so she was just always on us to, just trying, steering us away from, the elements, the negative elements of the city. Okay. So even when in high school, when my brother was in high school, he went to school on the south side. He got into some trouble here and there. Okay. At the time, my folks, they were going through a divorce, and so then there was the breakup, and then our house got broken into, and then my brother he got into a fight and got knocked unconscious.
That's
and
a
woke
lot.
up in the hospital. And my mom was like, we out of here. So she packed up, you are not going to high school in the city.
Wow.
So she worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs at times, saved the money up, sold the house, and she packed us up and moved us to the suburbs. So I wouldn't be going to high school in the city. So, my 8th grade year, we moved out to the south suburbs, and it was, at first I didn't want to do it, because everything I knew was the south side of Chicago, and Chicago is very, very segregated. They call it hyper segregation.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Is so definitive. You have neighborhoods that, they're all black. The teachers, the store owners, all your neighbors, the bus drivers, the postmen.
Yeah.
And then you cross a certain avenue, and then it's all white, and then you go to another area, you cross a certain avenue, and it's all Mexican, or it's all Puerto Rican, or it's all Chinese, but everyone is everyone's divided, So you grow up, in this all black neighborhood, and then you hear suburbs, and you're like, oh,
that's posh.
That's, it's a different world, so, but we ended up moving, and it was the best thing that could ever happen, because, that's why I fell into, poetry and met lifelong friends, and it was just and it also gave me a different, outlook on how the world is and how it isn't just all black. There are other cultures and races, and and we all have to intermingle and get along.
Yeah.
Or at least try.
Yeah, try.
Try.
Yeah.
I touched down with a pulse and a prayer as my lungs stretched out for this earthly air. For me, to the touch, I looked up as an angel rubbed her fingers through my hair. I remembered that healing feeling, so I spoke out, but there was no one there to translate. Quickly, I found out love is how we would communicate. Through this journey, I lost my language, and at the time, I didn't know that in time I would find strange gifts. A native tongue that would allow me to spit lit, but now I get it. So when the stage is in sight, I hit it, I can't quit it. Cause I'm a spirit here to lift other spirits. You might not know what I'm on, but I know that you feel it. I know you feel this feeling, it's the reason we all living. The reason for the time we were so graciously given. I'ma put my tears on this pavement, my blood on the pavement. I'ma leave this place with the same thing I came with. My soul and my spirit. My soul and my spirit. I'ma put my tears on this pavement, my blood on the pavement. I'ma leave this place with the same thing I came with. My soul and my spirit. My soul and my spirit.
Moving to the suburbs, which is, I think, is posh. Did you get, any funny looks from teachers or, classmates when you started to express interest in poetry? Because there's a certain stereotype that black males are supposed to be athletic, So did you ever come across things like that, like hurdles?
Well, coincidentally, I was athletic. I was on the football team. I ran track, actually ran hurdles. so I was, I ran hurdles and high jumps, played basketball one year. So all my buddies, they were athletes as well, so when I started, it was, I guess, such a positive impact on people that I didn't really get any negativity as far as me performing. Like I said, that was my junior year, the first show I did. After the first show, I was begging my teacher for the next show. Like, when's the next one? When's the next one? Wow. So throughout the rest of my junior year and senior year, I was the speaker for our class. Everyone expected it of me. Now, when I got to college and I got into poetry, it wasn't cool for a guy to be writing poetry. That wasn't the cool thing, So there were times when I almost got in fights, with cats, because they were coming at me bogus and poetry is soft. You punk this, punk that. What
right.
And so I definitely had to stand on mine and defend myself for doing what I was doing, because at the time, poetry hadn't. Poetry's always been here, but as far as my generation, it wasn't. It hadn't gotten to that heights yet. This is before Def Poetry and before, Love Jones, the movie. And, I've been doing this for a while now. So it wasn't cool for a guy to be doing poetry. But, it was something that, it just came naturally. And it was something that my soul yearned to do. So I did it, and when people stepped to me, I definitely defended myself.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's talk about, making poetry cool. Like, usually, I'm in my 20s, so maybe before I listened to the College Dropout and knew about your work, I thought poetry was like, oh yeah, it's Shakespeare. I'm a writer myself, but I didn't understand poetry. Like, I'd read Shakespeare's sonnets and I'd be like, okay, what is this? I don't get it. But after listening to you, I realized, it was something that could be cool. How were you able to do that? How are you able to reach out to people and let them know poetry is cool? It's hip. It's something young people, our generation, can enjoy.
Well, for me, when I guess the way I went about it was when I was in college, I was really dealing with a lot of depression at the time.
Okay. Because
of the things that happened, in my household with my father not being there. Because at this point, when I was in school, I hadn't seen my dad for years, 10 years went by before I saw him again after the divorce. Okay. So, when you go to school, that's when I think that's, that time when you're trying to find yourself, so I was trying to find myself, but with that, I lacked focus when it came to my actual schoolwork. Poetry took over. I was writing day in, day out, but I lacked focus. And I ended up flunking out of college. So when I went home, my mom's, like I said, she worked 2-3 jobs. I was, she was determined to make a way for her. So when I went home, I was determined not to let her down. When it came to doing that, I was like, well, I gotta perform. I gotta get this out there. I gotta continue to do my thing. I gotta, continue to do what I was doing in high school and college. And I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna perform and I'm gonna let people know who I am. So for me, it was just a matter of just hitting every stage, every microphone I possibly could. I think the coolness of it came from just being myself. Just one, not trying to sound like everybody else, because I think a lot of poets sound alike, and I never wanted to sound like anybody else. So, part of it was finding my voice and remembering my voice, because we all have our own voice, but I think sometimes we forget it, and when you're around people, the same people all the time, it's like anything, like, a crew of people, they're going to use the same slang. They're going to have the same, body gestures, because people, it's natural. You start to become who you're around, So for me, I was just me. I was just me. Like, whatever thoughts that came to mind, whatever ideas came to mind, I developed them. I exercised, the different styles that I would come up with. And I just really just found my own style and my own voice, and I let people know about it. Whenever I got the opportunity, even when I was too young to get in clubs, I would talk to whoever was on the door. Like, man, I don't even drink. I just want to come in and do a poem and then I'm out. So I would just continue to do my thing, and then there were a lot of other people too that were out there doing their thing in their own communities and cities, and so there was this movement happening. Like, when you're in it, you feel like you're the only one, you're all alone. But then the more you do it, you realize that there's a world of people that are similar to you. And so there was this movement happening. As the movement moved, it became cooler and cooler, and people, they got hip to it. And then you'll have a movie like a Love Jones come out, and I even with that, like, I used to host the hottest poetry spot in Chicago. It's called Rituals, and I remember before Love Jones came out, like, people like, nah, I invite somebody out, I ain't coming, I ain't down with that, nah. After Love Jones came out, oh man, is it gonna be like Love Jones? Is it gonna girls there? Oh man, I'm there. When is it? What time? So it gradually became cooler and cooler and cooler, and it had a lot to do with, man, there were cool people doing it.
Yeah.
So it was, so you had cool kids doing a cool thing. So it was bound to catch on.
Okay. Have you got a name for this blend of poetry and hip hop? Is there like a special name you call it? Is there something we can call it?
Man, I've been toying with that, because I know, when you say certain things, it registers different ways. So when I tell people I'm a poet, a lot of times they may think, Shakespeare, when I say spoken word, their minds may go somewhere else and just hear it a different way, So I'm still trying to figure out what it is, like what I do. Like, I love telling stories. Yeah. Sometimes my stories are lyrical, inspirational. I definitely love tapping in as far as tapping into the spirit and just letting my soul speak, Okay. So as far as the name for it, I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out.
All right, we'll be waiting.
Yeah. So for right now, it's poetry,
All right.
But if somebody say spoken word, that's cool. If you, hip hop poet, that's cool. That's cool. It's all cool,
All right. So is there a difference between spoken word and poetry then? Is there a difference, or is it similar, just, different labels?
Yeah, I mean, well, poetry typically is, is what's written, so, I've even heard, spoken poetry, as a description, because it is, the main difference between the two is, spoken word is performed, it's the poem coming to life. It's a, person putting all their their body and emotions and arm movements and voice, to this piece, and personality, to this piece. So whereas a poem, 1,000 different people may read it and hear it a different way.
Right.
Spoken word, somebody get up on a mic and say that poem, and you're going to hear it that way. You're going to always remember their voice, and the way that they performed it.
What you just said, it just took me back to the first time I saw the video of I Need to Write, when you did it on the Deaf Poetry. I cannot think of it without seeing you with that pen and that little book in your hand.
Yeah, that was a fun moment, man. That was so much fun. It was exciting. I was nervous. I was man, I was overwhelmed with joy. It was so many different emotions running through me at that point,
Wow.
But yeah, but that's the effect that it does have.
Yeah.
It's like when you see somebody do it. It's like hearing your favorite song. It's like, if I'm always here, like, if what's going on, I'm always envisioning Marvin, no matter who sings it. I'm always in Marvin because he was the first to do it.
Yeah.
I need to write. I need to sit my black narrow ass down and write. Yeah, the hustle got me hustling, but I'm muscling myself out of time for me. Well, what about me, I ask? What about the stories that I need to tell? I need to write, because can't nobody do it for me. Can't nobody document my inspirations the way I can. Can't nobody compliment my aspirations the way I can. Only I can, only I can, only I can, so I need to write. I need to gather up some words and write. I need to gather up some thoughts and write. I need to write because I'm tired of the same old pieces. I know y'all tired of hearing the same old pieces because the same old pieces got the same old problems, but I got new problems, more problems, problems that change, problems that rearrange. This homeless cat asked me for some money but got mad at me because I ain't got no spare change. I need to write. Me and my girl been arguing. I need to write. My boy told me that I need to take it to the next level, so I need to write. My pops died and it's hard dealing with it. I need to write. I know y'all can't wait for the book. I need to write. I need to write. I need to write. They done stole my hoopty. I need to write. The cop said I fit the description. I need to write. Wait, hold on. You mean to tell me that my wallet look like a gun? I need to write. My little brother got mugged by some grown thug. I need to write. You talking about being behind my back? I need to write. I ain't got it no more. I need to write. My ex tried to my boy. I need to write. The weather been acting awfully funny. I need to write. It's time to take Jesus off that cross. I need to write. Cops killing brothers. Cops killing sisters. Free Mamiya. I need to write. Wait. You gonna kick off World War III and possibly draft me? I need to write. Also, I'm gay because I don't want to you. I need to write. They were taking good care of that little Cuban boy. What about the shortage in the projects? I need to write. You saying I'm bogus because I didn't come to your event because I was tired? I need to write. I distinctly remember asking for 6 wings of mild sauce. Why does it only have 4? I need to write. I think about writing in third person because the first is hurting. Life is a job and the verse is working. My soul is rehearsing for when the Lord pulls the curtain. Words are words, so maybe it's your actions is doing the cursing. I need to write. Just yesterday, it was illegal for me to write. Where my pen at? I need to write.
Let's talk about, inspiration. Where did you derive the inspiration to write from?
Man, just a little bit of everything. Just life, I'm just happy to be alive, one.
Okay.
Two, like my dad, he was a DJ, so I would listen to him on the radio before I would go to school in the mornings back in the day. And so he was one who he used his voice, and he comes from a very musical family.
Okay.
So he just had this very gifted abilities, And then my mom's, on the other hand, she was a nurse. She was a registered nurse. She worked in a dialysis unit for years. So for me, I always looked at it as I was put here to use my voice to help heal people, and that's just me looking back at the effect that my writing has had on myself and others, and the way I write, it always goes back to, having a message. It always, goes back around to uplifting people, trying to help
Yeah.
people, just get through the day, get through the moment, whatever it is.
Okay.
So yeah, inspiration, but it comes from everywhere. It might be a conversation, it might be something I see on TV, it might be something I'm going through, or something somebody else is going through, and sometimes things just pop in my head.
Okay.
A
Wow.
lot of times things just pop in my head, and let me write that down,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and see what happens,
Okay. I'm a writer, and I know there was once I was having a conversation with a friend, and I'm like, where do you think great writers like Shakespeare got their inspiration from? And after talking about it for about 30 minutes, we realized, okay, you know what? Maybe they just got it from their dreams, because we couldn't exactly think. And then later that night, I had a dream, and when I woke up in the middle of the night, I'm like, okay, you know what? That dream is too good to waste. So I actually I got a pen, and I started writing down, like, the major points from the dream, and my book is actually based on my dream. I know.
That's amazing.
I know. It's,
That's amazing.
I still can't believe it sometimes. So right now, I sleep with a notepad by my bed, so just in case I wake up, okay, I'll take a note. It might come in, somewhere.
I have a line in the poem that says, I sleep with a pen in my hand so I can write my dreams.
Wow, I like that. That should inspire me.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times, like I'll have those dreams. I'll see myself in a dream doing a poem, and then sometimes you can't always catch everything from the dream, So I remember I wrote that because I always get mad at myself when I can't remember. Like, oh man, that poem was the best. Remember.
Wow. Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm looking forward to reading that. I can't wait to read that.
Yippee! That'll be amazing. Okay, let's talk about Dear Father. It was very emotional, and when I saw it, I was wondering, was this, all based on your life, or was some part of it, sort of fiction mixed with real life experiences?
Nah, that was all life. That was my life. That a part of my life that I just needed to get out. It was at the time I was like I had a lot of good things going on career wise. I was just done Deaf Poetry. I just moved to New York, so I was working with doing different commercials for like MTV and meeting a lot of cool different people. I was hanging out with Kanye and so it was a lot of good things happening at the time.
Okay.
But at the same time, when I wasn't amongst the crowd and wearing my mask, I was feeling I was just down. I was so low. So it got to the point where, I just wanted to get the weight off of me. I wanted to be able to truly enjoy, enjoy life in general, and then enjoy the moments, that were happening. Cause, it's like you work so hard for so long at getting your work out there. And then when it finally starts to get out there, you feeling bad and you're like, nah. So it was tough because like I said, my dad, when I was young, he was there and then he wasn't for 10 years. And then when he came back into my life, like we reconnected and when we reconnected, it was, like I really prayed for that moment, before at one point I didn't know if I would, if I was running to my father, I didn't know if I would hit him or hug him. Like it was real. Like I was mad, but I loved him. You know what I mean? But you're so mad, you're just so angry. Like I remember times, like even when I was in college, I remember times I would wake up in the middle of the night, punching the walls, and it was like, my poetry was the only thing to ease the pain out of my knuckles. It was just, later on in life when, things started to pick up, I reflected back on, when one time my cousin, she told me, she said, the only way that you're going to be able to get over this pain and over this hurdle is to forgive. So it's the only way you're going to be able to do it. She was like, if you don't forgive, she's like, you'll carry that weight around with you forever. So when I decided to forgive, I remember I was at church and I just, man, I broke down, and I was bawling out of control, and I just, God, man, like, yeah, I forgive my dad. I was like, I just want to see him. I want to tell him I love him. I miss him, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember this was a Thursday. 2 weeks later on a Thursday, he called me out the blue.
Wow.
About the same. Just called me out the blue. 10 years later, like, yo, this your dad. And I'm on the phone, like, you know, just, I lost it, you know what I mean? It was like, I was, you know, I have people say, you know, you're choked up. Like, I was crying so hard that I was literally choked up, and I couldn't speak, and I was just, you know, I had to, you know, get myself together.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to see him like a couple of days later. And when he opened the door, it was amazing to be able to see him, and like, man, Dad, I love you. And, you know, give him a hug. Like, I missed you, you know. And, so we reconnected, but, you know, just, I guess the habit of the relationship wasn't there. You know, I wasn't in the habit of calling. He wasn't in the habit of calling, or we weren't in the habit of going to see each other. So I really didn't see him too much. And then a year later, he passed away. So now that he passed away, now I'm grieving, and I'm going through it, and I'm on this roller coaster of emotions. Yeah. And then things start picking up, and things start happening, and I'm, you know, doing deaf poetry, and I'm running into, you know, Dave Chappelle on the street, and I'm like, yo, Dave, I'm like, you know, what's up? And like, I did deaf poetry with you, and Dave Chappelle, like, yeah, man, I remember you was my favorite poet. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, yeah, I'm thinking like, yeah, right. And then he like, yeah, I need to write. Yeah, that's the point. I need to write, you know. So I'm having moments like these where I'm having like really like inspirational, motivational moments, but then at the same time, I'm just going through it. So I decided, I was like, man, I need to write about it, you know, 'cause I always felt like, and I've always said this, I was like, man, if you don't deal with your emotions, one day your emotions are going to deal with you, you know, and I was at that point where, you know, the pain that I kind of buried, it was like it had grown and become this beast. And I felt like I was being attacked by all my demons at the same time. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this anymore. So I'm gonna win this fight. I'm gonna win this war. And my weapon of choice is my pen. So I pulled out a pen and a pad, and I started to write, you know, and there were tears on the page when I wrote that poem, but it was like the happiest piece that I could have ever written, you know, cause it let me release that pain. It let me let go. It let me forgive. It empowered me. It let me see my dad in a good light, you know, in a positive light. Because my dad, he had been through things when he was a child, you know, so at this point, like, I realized, you know, like his pain and his suffering that he had dealt with and gone through, you know, he had grown up and passed it on, you know. So it was like, it was on me to just, to not continue, you know, walking in that. I didn't want to walk in it anymore. So I wrote the poem, and then I started to share it with people, and it was like the same healing, you know, because that's what it did. It helped to heal me, and it was like the same healing that I got from writing it. That healing would grow when I would perform it, and that same healing would affect other people, you know. So I started to share the piece, and then I remember at one point I stopped doing it. I was like, I can't do that no more. Like, enough. You know, like, I don't want people to think I'm this sad, you know, party. Like, I'm this sad dude. Woe is me, because that wasn't the case, you know. Okay. But and two, it was just like, all right, like, I've done it. I've gotten it out. I'm good. And then I remember a friend of mine saying, like, yo, like, man, like, why you stop doing that the same way, the same way that it helped you, you know, it'll help other people. Yeah. You know. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. And then one of the most important points was my wife. She told me once, she was like, you gotta break the cycle, because if you don't deal with the pain, that pain is gonna be passed on, you know, and you ended up hurting the people that's closest to you, you know. So it was important for me to share that message with everybody. So I started to perform it, you know, all the time, and then I went on deaf poetry and I did it there. And the reaction that I got was, you know, it really, really helped a lot of people, and it's still helping a lot of people. Ladies and gentlemen, J.I.V.
Dear Dad, these words are being written and spoken because my heart and soul feel broken. I laugh to keep from crying, but I still haven't healed after all of my years of my goofiness and joking. You got me open, hoping this ill feeling will pass, won't last. I wear a mask so my peace won't ask for the truth. Truthfully speaking, the truth hurts, but I'm beyond hurting. I'm in pain. When I was a shorty, I thought you left because I wouldn't behave. Later on in life, I found out that it was the cane as well as other things. And with all the scars, it was hard, but I learned to forgive and forgave. I forgave you despite the fights, the tears, for all the years lost, wondering if I was loved. Sometimes all I needed was a call and a hug. I mean, I understand that people break up and don't make up, and some relationships don't last forever, but why weren't we together? Mom could have found a new man, but where was I going to find a new dad? Looking back, I wish would have begged me, but pleaded my case, because I felt like I didn't matter, like I was deleted and erased. I would cry, still cry, so much that I get headaches. I try to get you off my mind, but I can't get you off of my face. I see you every time I see me, and I can't do nothing but ask God to bless me, because my love was amputated, my life was complicated, my family became dysfunctional. Dad, I remember when you pushed Mom, she broke her ankle, and I was sitting there thinking, how could you do this to such a beautiful angel? I remember Mom waking us up in the middle of the night saying, shh, Jimmy, put some clothes in the jewels bag. We're going to Grandma's, and if your father come up to your school, don't tell him where we'd be. I remember spending Christmas at Grandma's playing with my Stretch Armstrong, thinking, man, this ain't my house. How does Santa Claus find me? But the little boy in me still wants his daddy badly. I feel like a scared little boy afraid to become a man, but I think I'm ready. I wonder if you know that your baby boy did a show that aired for millions to see on HBO, and that hard-ass New York crowd that I didn't even know actually gave me a standing no. I wonder if you know. I know you're proud, because I'm be the best, just like you want to be. Watch and see, and just in case you can't, I'm going to scream it so loud that I shake the clouds and move them out the way of my sunshine, because that's what you are, Dad. James Ivy Richardson, see, do you hear me? You are my sunshine. That's why I forgave you, because my love for you is still the same. It may have gone through a transformation, but it never really changed. So I swear on my mama and on my name, I'm going to stop this rain, conquer this pain, make sure that you do not die in vain. And when I get to heaven, I'm going to jump in your arms. We going to kick back like when I was little and watch the Bears game. I love you, Dad.
And I'm actually writing a book about it right now called Dear Father.
Oh, that's amazing. I really hope I can read that.
Oh, please. I need y'all to check that. It's coming out January 2015.
Oh, that's great.
I actually got a book deal, and the book is based on it's the story that led up to me writing that poem and the effects of it and all that.
Okay.
So, I'm excited about it. So.
Okay. I really like, Dear Father, but I kind of sense a certain pain, so I don't like to listen to it so much. I just like to be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's why I tell people, like, man, it really, like, it sounds sad, it feels sad, but it made me happy because I was able to release it, and I was like, I was able to let that go, so now when I do it, it's like I feel it, like I'm reminded of the feelings that I felt at the time, but it doesn't depress me to do it. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense.
I understand.
I'm not like instantly depressed. Like, no, it's not that.
It's got some positive messages as well. So, it's helped people heal. So you sort of look beyond the pain and look at the positives.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the most important thing in life, because I always looked at it like, well, in life you have these lessons and you have these situations that you go through, and you can either feel one way or the other about it. It's like you either operating in love or fear, you're feeling good or feeling bad, but that doesn't change the fact that you have to go through this situation, or that you have to deal with this lesson. Like, the lesson is not gonna disappear because you feel sad. It's not going to disappear if you feel happy, but I don't have to feel happy going through it. I would rather be like, okay, this is a lesson. Let me see what I can learn from it. Exactly. And let me keep it moving. Yeah.
And from our conversation so far, I can tell you're spiritual. Like, tell us about your spirituality.
Man, I love God. and I love God love me. Like, I'm just, man, I'm very, I feel very blessed. When I open my eyes, I feel blessed. When when I meet different people, when I'm able to, you know, shake somebody's hand or share a laugh, or when I'm able to write, when I see the art that comes out of me, I know it's not me, you know. You know, I am an instrument, you know, like, you know, God is using me to get a message across. Like, he gave me these abilities. He gave me a voice. He gave me the ability to write, ability to perform, an ability to connect with people. Okay. And he gave it to me for a reason. So one, I'm ultra grateful for it. And two, I know what I was put here to do, you know, so I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna walk that walk, and you know, and give it up to him every day.
Yeah. I think that was one of your songs, Here We Are. There was a line from it that says, "Here I am, God's child. I'm just trying to shine like the light of God's smile." That actually got my attention.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. And I've got it written down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I need some motivation, you know, I'll just look at that, and, you know, I like it, really. It's amazing how, you know, you can find these bits that can inspire you so much, you know, in music, in books, you know, in a conversation. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm amazed. Like, a lot of times people you know, everybody interprets things differently, you know, so I'm always amazed at the different, you know, different quotes or lines or just the different things that people will pull from my art.
Yeah.
That I may not necessarily, like, I wrote it, you know what I mean, but I might not necessarily put emphasis on that particular quote. You know, and then somebody else will say it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I did say that, huh? You know, and then it makes me look at it a certain way, and like, oh, how, you know, it helps me, you know, the same way it, you know, helps and inspires others. It inspires me too. Okay,
let's talk about "Never Let Me Down." Now, I think I heard that song in 2005. I remember my friend and I, you know, whenever we got to the end of your rap, would look at each other, would scream, and they would start all over again.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, who is he? And she said his name is Jay Ivy. And okay, sorry about this, but I'm like, Jay Ivy? Ivy sounds like a girl's name. You know, my bad.
Nah, you know what? I used to hate my middle name because, you know, Ivy's my middle name.
Oh, wow.
And I used to hate it. Yeah, I used to hate it. I was like, why do I have a girl's name? You know, but I'm a junior, so my dad his name is James Ivy Richardson. So, you know, so I never told anybody my middle name, ever. So when I was in college, my mom's like, when I would write poetry, I would send it home to my mother so she could check it out. Okay. You know, so I'm mailing her poetry home. This is before email. So I'm mailing her poetry. Yeah. And one day she called me and she was like, you know what? She's like, you have all this amazing poetry. She was like, we should do a book. And I was like, a book? I haven't been writing a year. She's like, so what? You got enough for a book. Let's do a book. I was like, all right. And then she was like, and I've been thinking. She was like, you know, I was thinking you should use Ivy for your pen name. All great poets have a pen name. Okay. I said, all great poets. Yeah, all right. So I started using my full name, and then I shortened it to James Ivy, and then I shortened it to Jay Ivy. You know, I figured that was a little catchier, you know.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of names, we're still going back to, you know, Never Let Me Down shortly, but speaking of names, you actually introduced the world to John Legend. Imagine if he was John Stevenson. I mean... It might not have caught on. It probably wouldn't have caught on that well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, actually, well, the back end of the Never Let Me Down story is the same night that I recorded that song. I met John Stevens is his name. So like me and Kanye, and you know, everybody that was in the studio, we listened to Never Let Me Down 1 million times, and then Kanye was like, yo, you heard this singer named John Stevens? And I was like, yeah, I've been hearing about him out in New York. Cause we were in LA recording the album. And he was like, man, let me play you this song. So he plays me the song by John Stevens, and the song is amazing. I'm like, oh my God, it was so refreshing. It was just a breath of fresh air, you know. So an hour later, you know, John Stevens comes in. I was like, what's up? I'm Jay Ivy, man, poet from Chicago, you know. I was like, yo, I heard your music, man. I was like, man, it's amazing. I was like, man, remind me of that music from the old school, like that music my folks will listen to. I was like, man, dog, I was like, you a legend. I was like, you sound like one of the legends. I was like, you a legend. Matter of fact, that's what I'm going to call you from now on. I'm going to call you the legend. So I started calling him legend. So a couple of days later, we're still in the studio. Okay. And we were all in the lounge, me, Kanye, Cootie, Tari Teray, okay. I think John Monopoly was there. But it was about 10, 12 of us in the studio. Don C. in the lounge. Okay. So in walks John Stevens. So, you know, somebody walk in the room, everybody shouting you out. So he walks in, everybody like, oh, John Stevens in the building, John Stevens in the house. And I was like, John Legend. And everybody looked at me, and they looked back at him, and they was like, oh, that's your new name from now on. And Kanye like, John Legend from now on. That's your name from now on.
Wow.
So that's how he got the name.
I know you guys have done a song together, Hi. There was a line I was trying to get the line. Your line in that song, was it, who needs wings to get high when I've got you? Was that what the word was?
No, the line says, who needs the weed man?
Oh, right. Okay, I wasn't too sure.
I don't need the weed man to get high. I got you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was nice. I liked it, but I wasn't too sure. I'm like, wings or weed? So I'm glad now I know.
The weed man. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, so back to Never Let Me Down. What was it like recording with Kanye and Jay Z?
Oh man, it was amazing. Like well, I had to tell you the full story if we have time.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this week's episode, but you need to stay tuned to next week's episode as we continue our conversation with Jay Ivy, and he talks to us about working with Jay Z and Kanye West on Never Let Me Down, winning the Grammys. He talks about his charities. He talks about so much more. So I promise the concluding part of this episode will be brought to you next Sunday, same time. Do keep a date with us, and if you'd like to listen to J.I., you can find him on Twitter and then follow the links. On Twitter, it's at J_IVY. That's J_IV. And his website is j-iv.com. And keep a date with us next week while we bring you the concluding part of this episode. Thank you for tuning in and have a lovely week ahead. Take care of yourselves and each other. Aloha.
Hello? Is anybody out there? I got a story to tell. Somebody's got to hear my story. I need to write. I try to get you off my mind, but I can't get you off of my face. If I could sing, I would echo words about her beauty within a verse. I'm a roach in a world of rage. In shackles and chains. The wax. The melting wax begins its journey down the length of the wig. Transformation. Transformation.
Come on to Zibby